what our opponents are capable of doing. I ran 2 elections. I won both of them. Second one much more successful than the first. But we can't let this happen any longer. There's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated. All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes. Flipping the state is a great testament to our country. You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican. It's more illegal for you than it is for them. Because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And
you should know.
Can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. It's going to be very costly in many ways.
Yeah.
He has no proof of any of that. He offered no proof of any of that, but it's going to be costly. Is he going to sleep with the fishes?
I wrote all this down so as not to lose my place or forget what the fuck I'm talking about, okay? Hey, Pissy Hippie here. I wrote this all down as to not lose my place or forget nothing, huh? Okay. 2020. Over. Election year. Done. Finished. Your lovely and talented host has had it up to fucking here with the fucking politics. Okay? And, I always enjoyed politics. I'll get to that in a minute. As you know, last year, not even including any of the politics, was unlike any of the worst pizza nightmares anyone could ever imagine, right? Right. And, if you're like, whatever do you mean, sir? I don't know what you're talking about. Why was last year difficult? If you're saying that, I need you to go get your head examined right fucking now. Okay? If not fucking sooner. Okay. But like I was saying, don't misunderstand me. I always enjoyed politics. Always enjoyed them. But these last 5 years were not politics. These last 5 years weren't politics. They were so not politics that if Hunter Thompson were alive, he'd have blown his brains the fuck out. That's how not politics the fucking shit was. Okay? So, that shit show's over. At least for another 1,400 somewhat days. Whew. Now, next. Because, this here, all this, I'm not doing this for my health. Originally, I had wanted laughs. The idea was to have laughs, right? At whomever's expense, but laughs. Not a stroke every time I turn on the fucking camera, right? Okay, so. I didn't never want to be no asshole poking fun at the politics. That isn't what I plan to become, and that isn't how I'm going. That ain't happening. At least not for another 1,400 days. So, I have heard, and I keep hearing it, I keep flipping channels, and I keep hearing, how did we get here? How was it that we got here? How the hell did we get here? How in the hell did we get here? How the hell did we get here? How the hell did we get here? How the hell did we get here?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully execute.
that I will faithfully execute
The office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States
And will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Mr. President, Vice President, as prescribed by the Constitution and the laws of the nation, the purpose of this joint session is for tellers, appointed on a bipartisan basis by the two houses, to read to the Congress the results of an election that has already happened. We are here to receive an announcement of a vote that has already been certified by every state in the Union and confirmed by the courts many times over. We're here to watch the current Vice President open envelopes and receive the news of a verdict that has already been rendered. It is a solemn and august occasion, no doubt, but it is a formality. The Congress does not determine the outcome of elections, the people do. The Congress is not endowed with the power to administer elections. Our states are given that power. By the end of the proceedings today, it will be confirmed once again something that is well known and well settled. The American people elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the next president and vice president of the United States. And yet, a number of our colleagues have organized an effort to undermine and object to that free and fair election. They are in the minority. They will lose. They know that. They have no evidence of widespread voter fraud upon which to base their objections. That's because there is none. There is none. Not brought before any of the courts successfully. They know that President Trump and his allies have suffered a defeat in court after court across the country, losing no fewer than 62 legal challenges. And I might add many Republican-appointed judges, some appointed by President Trump, rendered those decisions. They know, you all know, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States on January 20th.
Senator, we gathered together at a moment of great division, at a moment of great passion. We have seen, and no doubt will continue to see, a great deal of moralizing from both sides of the aisle. But I would urge to both sides perhaps a bit less certitude and a bit more recognition that we are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis. Recent polling shows that 39% of Americans believe the election that just occurred, quote, was rigged. You may not agree with that assessment, but it is nonetheless a reality for nearly half the country. I would note it is not just Republicans who believe that. 31% of independents agree with that statement. 17% of Democrats believe the election was rigged. Even if you do not share that conviction, it is the responsibility, I believe, of this office to acknowledge that is a profound threat to this country and to the legitimacy of any administrations that will come in the future.
See scores and scores of protesters on the lawn of the Capitol, and the police had been prepared for this. They had been prepared for many days. There usually are barricades around the Capitol, but there have been more barricades to extend the perimeter around this building, given that many lawmakers come and they park their cars in the lot just outside the Capitol grounds. But they had extended that perimeter, but it appears, according to what we have been told, that some of these protesters have breached that perimeter, and that's led to back and forth a tense situation with the police. Now we're still trying to gather more information about what exactly is going on, but at the moment,
stunning, and it's quite frankly dangerous. President Trump could stop this with one tweet, but instead he's on Twitter attacking Vice President Pence for refusing to go along with his attempt at a coup, at a bloodless coup. We hope it stays bloodless. And President Trump, if he wanted to, and there is really no reason to think he wants to, he could stop this. He could stop it with one tweet, and he will not, because, frankly, he likes this.
By not discouraging what we are seeing, the president is encouraging what we are seeing. Just to see how it has in a much more over and over again with his tweets. Completely irresponsible, and this is...
On the left side of the balcony there, they've been standing there for several minutes, waiting for orders, seemingly. Some of them have donned riot gear, but they are, right now, observers to this situation. Now, again, the crowd, some of them have left the stairs, but they're still, clearly, as you can see, a lot of protesters on the stairs. We can also tell you that they have made their way up 3 sets of stairs here on the east side of the Capitol. 2 on either side of us, but not as dense as the crowd is not as dense on the other side, on the other stairways, as it is here. But these people clearly are emboldened. They don't feel any urgency to move. And the real question here, Jake, is when is law enforcement going to show up?
Incite the riot.
That's right.
And the President of the United States said, Rick, I really respect what you said, but...
campaign, I'm going to be the law and order president. That's the opposite of law and order. And I'm also thinking, Jake, I think you were up on Capitol Hill around 9/11. Were you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was too. And this is very, very different in a million ways. The way it is not is the fear. I remember being where Manu is and having to walk, having to run and having to be told by people who are there to protect you that they can't protect you, that they're not equipped for it because of something that they didn't expect. Now, this they probably should have expected, at least to some degree, But it is a frightening thing when that happens, when you are in the belly and the symbol and the center of our democratic institution, the United States Capitol, and that happens. And that has happened, and it continues to happen. And you have the people who are elected by Americans all over this country just a couple of months ago in that Capitol in undisclosed locations because it is not safe for them to go out. And I will just say one little glimmer of hope. I was told that there are some top House members in an undisclosed location together, Republicans and Democrats together. And I was told that Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic Conference Chair, Liz Cheney, the Republican Conference Chair, jointly said to these members who were gathered there, they had a defiant message saying, we're not going to let them stop us. We're going to get back out there as soon as it's safe and go back to the House floor as soon as we can and continue the business that is constitutionally mandated.
Yeah, this is not going to end in anything other than Joe Biden being sworn in 2 weeks and Kamala Harris being sworn in 2 weeks. But I want people out there to remember how they feel right now as they watch these images live, because there is going to be an attempt by the people who were part of this effort. President Trump, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Hawley, etc. There is going to be an attempt to whitewash what's going on right now. President Trump has delivered a message. It has been taped, and we are going to bring that to... Are we ready to go with that live right now? Okay, we're going to go to that right now. Here's a message from President Trump.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. Yeah. It was a landslide election. Yeah. And everyone knows it. Sure was. Especially the other side. Yep. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us. From me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Now, we brought that to you because President Trump on the tape says to his supporters who are right now conducting an armed insurrection on the U.S. Capitol, he tells them to go home. But I also want to note that in that video, he lies about the election being stolen and pours more fuel on the fire. He continues his shameful behavior of lying to his supporters about what happened. It is absolutely disgraceful. I hope they listen to the part in which he said for them to go home. But to be completely frank, there were mixed messages in that video. And I feel ambivalent about the fact that we even aired it, to be honest, although I certainly understand and support the idea that we did. But the idea that the president is not even capable of saying, please go home, he continues to lie to his supporters. And what I wanted to say before, Abby, is blatant lies about the election. Do you think that video was helpful, or did it end up throwing more fuel on the fire?
Well, the fuel has been thrown on this fire for 4 straight years. And certainly in the last week, we heard this president, outgoing president, other current elected officials incite violence. And we see the result of that violence. So I didn't get a chance to see the video, but we continue to urge the president to tell his supporters that they are putting police officers, innocent people in harm's way, and they need to go home.
Do you know anything about the shooting today on Capitol Hill? A woman was shot. Is she okay? Do you know, was she one of the rioters, or was she...
Dedicated to the honorary first defenders from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Reading, Pennsylvania, and Schuylkill County, who went to the Capitol at the call of Abraham Lincoln to defend the Capitol during the Civil War. The first ones there, they were stationed there. The Confederates never got there. They were there to protect against the rebellion. And here we are watching Confederate flags running through the Capitol. I mean, to see this desecration to me, I mean, it's so upsetting. as an American, as a Republican. I mean, how could this happen? And, and the president of the United States, he's committed a mortal crime against the Republic. I mean, this is, he should have resigned over this, but he won't, of course. And so the party has to come to grips with this reality. We are the party of Lincoln.
Word of a third resignation, right, that we want to tell you about, coming out of the White House. There are resignations coming out of the White House. Do they mean anything? We're not sure. Because this one is a deputy national security advisor. The former White House press secretary are among those who have apparently had enough of this. After 4 years, though, after the bloodshed and all of this, is there enough time? I don't know. Judge that for yourself.
Yeah, look, we'll let the historians deal with that. What we do know is
4 people died.
4 people lost their lives. It will be a big part of Trump's legacy. What happened today was not a surprise. It was inevitable because this is what he's been motivating all along. But there is good news. Despite all of the challenges and the ugliness, history will be made tonight and we will move forward. We will have the vice president currently, Mike Pence, certify the election results that ensure the inauguration of Joe Biden.
Well, but because it would be alleging the president is mentally unfit, he could contest that, and then the process would go over to Congress. So it is not sort of a one-and-done quick cabinet meeting that you can do, and there are 2 weeks left. Impeachment could theoretically move faster because the president would have a less direct role. But these are clearly things that are being discussed, even from some Republicans, because there's concern about the president's mental state, his stability, and clearly his judgment because he incited a riot, an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
And it would also rely on a strength that is actually a weakness, right? Because the reason you'd want to do it is to kind of use it as a stopgap to keep him from doing any more damage. But the reason you would need it as a stopgap is because those around him aren't strong enough to keep him in check. And those are the same people you'd be asking to launch the 25th Amendment.
We always knew that this responsibility would take us into the night and will stay as long as it takes. Our purpose will be accomplished. We must and we will show to the country, and indeed to the world, that we will not be diverted from our duty, that we will respect our responsibility to the Constitution and to the American people. We know that we're in difficult times, but little could we have imagined the assault that was made on our democracy today. To those who strove to deter us from our responsibility, you have failed. To those who engaged in the gleeful desecration of this, our temple of democracy, American democracy, justice will be done. Today, January 6th, is the Feast of the Epiphany. On this day of revelation, let us pray that this instigation to violence will provide an epiphany for our country to heal. It's time to move on. I wear this pin quite frequently. Actually, I gave it to our beloved John Lewis just the weekend or so before he left us. And it's a flag of our country, a flag of the United States of America. On it says, "One country, one destiny." One country, one destiny, written on the flag. That was also what was embroidered in Abraham Lincoln's coat that he had on that fateful night. Lincoln's party, Lincoln's message, one country, one destiny.
The undersigned, Roy Blunt and Amy Klobuchar, tellers on the part of the Senate, Zoe Lofgren and Rodney Davis, tellers on the part of the House of Representatives, report the following as a result of the ascertainment and counting of the electoral vote for President and Vice President of the United States for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021. The report we make is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the president and the vice president according to the ballots that have been given to us.
The whole number of electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
Congress confirmed what we have known to be true for months. President-elect Biden won the 2020 presidential election, though that confirmation came only after 138 members of the House and 8 senators objected. They aligned themselves with the same disgraceful conspiracy theories that inspired the bloodshed at the Capitol. Senator Hawley, Senator Cruz, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, and 143 others. This is their legacy. In many ways, each one of them has blood on his hands.
The purpose of the joint session having concluded, pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, 117th Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Thursday morning, just moments ago, history. Congress has officially certified Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. Now, President Trump is saying there will be an orderly transfer of power in 13 days on January 20th. He just put out a statement to CNN. Here it is. Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election, and the facts bear me out, that's a lie, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th that is already proven untrue, because today there was an insurrection. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. They were. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again.
When I read out that litany just now, that was just top of mind. I left out one thing. He was impeached for the...
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Exclusively coming out like that hour.
good stuff. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and such a historic day, and such beautiful pageantry.
5 seconds it took her.
And the day, I mean, when you think back 2 weeks ago, the Capitol was a crime scene.
Thanks.
And today, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, in a historic inauguration, she becoming the first woman and woman of color to be vice president.
Yeah, we were there
after
too.
After this insurrection.
Thanks.
And I want to make note of 3 American presidents meeting together today and talking to the country where George W. Bush talked about, and we just saw it, the institutional integrity of our country. And that's what today was about. And Joe Biden got in office. Think of it. The Senate changed hands today, and he couldn't have moved faster to turn the corner.
And whether you agree with President Biden or not, it certainly feels like a new day.
Here's Seattle's own FOO Fighters.
Mackenzie Adams reminds me of another outstanding teacher who holds a very special place in my heart. My mother, Virginia, who was a public school teacher for 35 years. Like Mackenzie and Dr. Jill Biden, she was also a mentor to her students, remembered long after their graduation. This year, our teachers were faced with unprecedented challenges, but through dedication and creativity, they faced those challenges head on. So this next song is for Mackenzie and all of our unshakable teachers that continue to enlighten our nation's kids every day. This is called Times Like These.
I'm a one-way motorway. I'm a road that drives away, follows you back home.
That we appoint an electoral commission to conduct a 10-day emergency audit. Consider the evidence. And
resolve the claim.
If they've been rejected, then you should rest in comfort. If that's the case, an electoral commission would reject those claims. Respect the voters, simply telling the voters, go jump in a lake. The fact
No, Senator Cruz, you should jump in the lake.
I believe
because you are no RBAs. Get it?
The Constitution gives to Congress the responsibility this day to count the votes. The framers knew what
with the pink tie.
And I would urge that we follow the precedent of 1877.
Fuck you. It ain't 1877. Maybe in Texas it's 1877. Maybe in Arizona maybe it's in Alabama it's 1877. Here today, it ain't 1877.
Credible, objective,
you fat,
impartial body, hear the evidence,
fat,
and make
fucking
a conclusive determination.
Piece of fucking shit.
That would benefit both sides. That would improve legitimacy of this election. And so let me urge my
That would improve the thoughts of fuckhead to you.
I would urge my colleagues, don't take perhaps...
Why does Ted got wings like Paulie?
Instead, act together.
You're no Paulie.
The viewers and act in a bipartisan sense to say we will have a credible and fair tribunal. Consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence.
This dude sitting behind Cruz is thinking, maybe I should just knock him the fuck out. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, sit the fuck down, douche. Fucking moron. Say something. No, they turn the mic off.
Mr. President, I first would like to say I appreciate the words of our leader, Senator Schumer, as well as Senator McConnell.
Our leader.
For a higher call.
Our leader.
January 6th is not typically a day of historical significance for our country. For centuries, this day is simply the day that we receive each state's certified electoral votes. And
she's going to ramble on for no reason now because we don't need it.
This is the third time in 120 years that the Senate has gathered to debate an objection, and as Senator Cruz well knows, both times those objections were resoundingly defeated. The last time the vote was 7-1.
That's no senator.
Because senators have learned
that's a fat piece of shit.
Did not mess around
that's
with
what that
the
is.
will of the people. They have understood the
Some
words
bitch.
of our great former colleague John McCain from the state of Arizona, who once said that nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself.
McCain,
in this case,
who once said,
despite our political differences,
I'm sorry, McCain, who once said,
to preserve our republic, because as someone once said long ago,
and if you notice, the thumb was not securely planted up Trump's ass.
Colleagues who have joined our ranks of coup fighters, who have stood up for our democracy, who stand tall for our
everybody's
republic,
cuckoo fighting.
An ideal greater than ourselves, larger than our political parties. That ideal is America. And Senator Cruz
larger than our parties?
On January 20th, Joe Biden
not larger than the standing president that can't stand, that can't walk.
He knows that President-elect Biden won more votes than any president in history, and more than 7 million
more votes than any president in history. Let's say that again.
The unfounded conspiracy theories Senator Cruz touts, he knows that high-ranking officials in President Trump's own Homeland Security Department have concluded that the 2020 election was, quote, the most secure in American history. And if he wants to improve the numbers that he just mentioned of people believing in our election, maybe he should start consulting with them. Or maybe he should start consulting with former Attorney General Barr, who said that he has found no evidence of widespread fraud.
Or maybe he doesn't have to consult. Maybe he should just shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down and get the fuck out. How's that?
Cruz knows that many judges, including conservative judges, including judges confirmed in this chamber, nominated by President Trump, has thrown out these lawsuits, calling them baseless, inadequate, and contrary both to the plain meaning of the constitutional text and common sense.
Baseless, inadequate, and I got another C word.
Including both of Trump's defense secretaries, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, William Cohen. He knows that all these leaders have come together to say that these scurrilous attacks on our democracy must stop, and we must allow for a peaceful transition of power.
What's that?
Senator Sinema will fill you in on the specific facts as to why this election was sound and true in Arizona. But a summary. President Trump received 1,661,686 votes in the state. President-elect Biden won 1,672,143 votes, meaning that he won the state
which is more amazing.
457 votes. On November 30th, after Arizona's Republican governor, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the conservative Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court certified the results of the election, the governor actually said, "We do elections well here in Arizona. The system is strong." To challenge the results were dismissed by judges. 9 members of the House from Arizona were elected in the same election, including 4 Republicans.
You go, Amy.
I did not see Senator Cruz over at their swearing in the House of Representatives last Sunday,
of course he did,
asking for an audit.
Of course he did.
He did not stop their swearing in.
Of course he did.
Because there was no fraud. And he did not
because his
thumbs were we had a fair election.
Planted up someone's ass.
My friend Roy Blunt, my fellow Rules Committee leader, many years ago found a statue. A bust of a man.
There's lots of statues.
He did research.
They're knocking them all down.
And all he could find out was that
he gets a Lincoln or Jefferson yet.
Was, except that he was a cleric. Hence, the statute is called the unknown cleric. Now, at the time, our readers thought this man important enough that they would warrant a statute for him. But today, no one knows who he is.
No one knows
Senator wants message to school
who the big huge thing outside in Pennsylvania is. Either the one like this is Rocky.
What we do here is more important than who we are.
They moved it to behind some bushes.
What matters is not our futures,
Some
not
bitches.
our own short-term destinies. What matters is our democracy's destiny.
Why is she so happy?
That people will not know who we are 100 years from now. Or
She needs to
200
pull
years
it
from
back.
now. But what they will know is this. They will know what
Just
we
a
did
tad.
today, how we voted today. And that is more important than who we are. It's
Who
all
are we?
public if we can.
Who are we?
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Who are we?
Majority Leader.
I can't see.
5 minutes to the senator from Pennsylvania, Senator Kent.
When an objection is raised with regard to Pennsylvania, for now, I want to address my remarks to what I think is the fundamental question being posed by the objectors.
Shit is going to
That is,
fuck.
does Congress have the
Or fuck is going to
constitutional
shit show. It depends
to
on how you
decide
look at it.
which states' electoral
Where's my
college
hat?
votes should be counted and which should not, based on how well we think they ran their elections. This is what the objectors are really asking us to do.
The objectors.
To federalize elections.
Criminalize
By
elections.
injecting electoral college votes from states whose processes they say they disapprove of.
There you go.
And thereby having Congress select the President of the United States instead of the American people. The answer, Mr. President, is no. There is no such authority under the Constitution. The Constitution assigns to the states the responsibility to conduct elections. It's clear in Article 2, Section 1.
Scotland don't want them
The
either.
courts with the responsibility to adjudicate disputes, and it assigns to Congress the ministerial function of
I
counting
got nothing.
ballots, except for extreme circumstances,
nothing.
such as when a state sends competing slates of electors to Congress. Which brings me to the 1877 precedent. Some objectors claim to merely want a commission.
We're traveling back to 1877 again. For some reason, it must be a red letter date in history, like 1955.
In 1877, Congress had before it 2 slates of electors from several states. Here, there are no Trump electors from swing states.
Fuck, they're picking on
It's just Biden
Hayes for.
Second, legislatures from the swing states, they've already spoken. They made their decision. They've chosen not to send us alternative electors. Third, a commission.
I ain't got no stevia
Completely
left.
impractical, and we all know it. With 14 days to
Stomach
go before a constitutionally mandated inauguration.
is a shitstorm.
Believe me, the objectors are right, and it really is Congress's job to sit in judgment on the worthiness
more
of the
coffee,
state's
neither.
electoral processes. Then what's the criteria for acceptable election processes? What investigations
Don't help.
have been conducted?
Drinking out of the Mickey,
What body has deemed
it
that
don't make it any more
processes are
happy.
unacceptable? What opportunities were these states given to challenge the findings? Why are the objectors objecting only to swing states that President Trump lost?
Because they're
What about
fucking
North
cunts.
I don't know, North
Like
Carolina.
dickhead.
What about California? They have ballot harvesting, I'm told. If this is all supposed to be Congress's job, you'd think we'd have answers to these questions and procedures in place because we would have done this every 4 years, right? But we don't. Because it's not our
But
job.
one far better question.
If we adopt this new precedent, that we sit in judgment of states' processes,
I ain't got it yet.
then we're federalizing the election law. We would necessarily have to establish the permissible criteria and rules for the state's elections. The ballot harvesting example. It's illegal in some states.
Ballot
It's encouraged
harvesting.
in others. Does it become mandatory or forbidden depending on who's in control of Congress?
Is that like
And as the leader pointed out,
cotton or bloodstones?
the Electoral College is the mechanism by which the people select the president. But if
The
Congress
people
gets
selected the
states get to
president.
vote in the
What a
Electoral
fucking
College,
concept.
at least Congress is selecting the president, not the people. Whichever party controls both houses of Congress would control the presidency. The public would never tolerate Congress picking the president instead of themselves. So they'd abolish the Electoral College.
You want
As
1877?
the colleagues would like to do. And the end of the Electoral College, of course, means the nation will be governed by a handful of big blue states and regions that can drum up very large numbers. Mr. President, The Constitution does not assign to Congress the responsibility to judge the worthiness of state election processes nor its adherence to its rules. That's the responsibility of the states and the courts. Let me conclude with this.
He's going to conclude.
I publicly endorsed President Trump. I campaigned for President Trump.
That's because you're a cunt.
I did not want Joe
just
Biden
like him
to win this election. But there's something more important to me than having my preferred candidate sworn in as the next president.
What's that, Jacko?
And that's to have the American people's chosen candidate sworn in as the next president.
Wow. He don't want his ass kicked on a daily basis from the fucking Capitol building to his fucking car, and then following him home and throwing shit through his windows.
That right is respected in this election and preserved for future elections. I urge you, vote against this objection.
Sit the fuck down. Nobody, no shit.
To monitor this, but I want to go up to Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill right now. Manu,
I see Chuck Schumer, but I hear Wolf Blitzer. What's going on? What the fuck?
Outside with protesters.
There's protesters.
President Trump's speech from this morning near the White House. They marched down to Capitol Hill, right outside the Capitol.
There's
scores of protesters outside.
There's protesters marching.
Capitol Police at the Capitol is in lockdown, and that people cannot leave the building. Our colleague Ted Barrett just tried to leave the Capitol building. The officers have said the building is locked down.
Speaking of empty feelings and empty horse shit, just as empty as this fucking thing.
Some of the protesters have breached the security perimeter.
Some of the protesters have breached a lot of people. I never seen so many people in the mall since what's his name spoke in front of the Lincoln Monument. No, MLK, not other asshole. There's nobody there then. Everybody stayed home and watched Deadwood.
Office buildings in the House side, also the James Madison building, which is part of the Library of Congress, was also asked to be evacuated. Now, the Capitol Police...
The Library of Congress
package
was evacuated
has now been cleared, so
because there's protesters.
Return to their offices in the Cannon building, but the United States...
In the name of the law!
So it sounds like a perfect storm of dysfunction is coming.
The United States Capitol building, which of course is where you're seeing
I thought it was done with
right now,
protesters.
Also on the House side,
Protesters.
The building itself is in lockdown, so reporters, staff members, and others are
like George Carlin says.
The building because of what is considered to be a pretty tense
George Carlin was right.
Many Trump supporters were protesting what is happening here.
Protesting what's happening here.
Pro-Trump supporters who have
Shut up, Wolf.
huge numbers walking over from the area near the White House up to Capitol Hill. And we
2020, the sequel.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Good one.
You know, just looking outside the building, I can see scores and scores of
motherfuckers. No social nothing. No fucking masks, nothing. Just bust out the fire hoses.
The perimeter around this building, given that many lawmakers
a perimeter.
Their cars in the lot just outside the Capitol grounds, but they had extended that perimeter. But it appears, according to what we have been told, that
Capitol on lockdown amid pro-Trump protests.
That's led to back and forth a tense
Again.
situation with the police. Now
That's right.
What's exactly going on? But at the moment, Wolf, amid this very tense, bitter, and divisive.
It's not tense.
On Capitol Hill, a tense situation outside.
Nothing's tense.
An unusual situation here in the Capitol.
Nothing else to
People
fucking
like
do.
ourselves have been told we can't leave because this building is in lockdown.
We can't leave because this city is in. I'm sorry. This building is in lockdown.
Is going to be taking place. They've gathered
It's another fucking word I can't fucking stand.
For the inauguration of
Lockdown.
President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is Vice President.
Everyone's safe because we got it in lockdown.
They've gathered, mostly not wearing masks, no social distancing. They're just moving closer and closer to Capitol.
I'm more in touch than Wolf.
At the west front of the Capitol, but there's also on the east front of the Capitol.
Fucking mannequin.
The cause of concern for the police officers, because that is typically
concern for police officers. Do police officers have concern for public citizens?
from the east side of the Capitol, and that's where the barricades have been placed.
There's a motherfucker in a striped outfit like he escaped from fucking prison. I'm not going to show the screen.
Between the Capitol and the Supreme Court building, but that area on the east side of the Capitol is the one that is a cause of concern. And the buildings that
I guess no one is at Dollywood today.
Of the Capitol, which is the House office buildings where members of Congress, members of the House, their staff work, where they work. That had initially been the concern. There appears to be multiple concerns here as this.
You know what this is reminding me of? This is reminding me of.
As the Capitol police officers are taking precautions and telling people in the building, the Capitol building, don't leave because of the concerns about security.
We know U.S. Capitol.
After all, you have to tell them 15 times because they're all retarded. You can't just turn on television and throw it on.
Potentially of some violence.
Oh, shut up, Wolf.
Yesterday and today, for that matter. Do you see?
I see suspicious backpacks everywhere.
Because I'm inside the building, I've seen many Capitol Police. It's very possible there are DC.
And these protesters are full of shit because no one's wearing masks and they're all smiling like they're having a good fucking time.
Police officers at every exit and every door. There are more today because of the expectation of this huge rally.
And I can't wait to see some motherfucker texting and not looking and falling into the mall pool.
I will see you there. He's told his supporters that this is the opportunity to overturn the election when we know that it's simply not going to happen.
I see Confederate battle flags. Confederate battle flags. It's gone. It's gone.
But he has told his
ain't nobody burning nothing yet.
Time where they can win. And he's revved them up, and many of them are outside. They're angry. They want Congress to act.
They're angry. They want Congress to act.
Expect this to play out all day today.
Apparently, they didn't turn on a fucking television when they woke up like I did 10 minutes ago.
To go up into the early morning hours. We'll see what
like I ain't got a fucking migraine to fucking begin with.
Republican leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, shut up, Wolf.
Calling on the protesters to engage in peaceful demonstrations. Clearly, there's a lot of concern. Not just from the protesters are
usually peaceful.
I
ain't looked up protesting, not in a while anyway. But douchebags and criminals are like the other part of it, right? Aren't protesters? We're protesting. We're protesting. Isn't that the difference to begin with?
It'll be important also for the president also to urge his demonstrators to engage in civil discourse outside. So uncertain what will happen, Wolf, but clearly Capitol Police.
I got some hair left, and none of it's gray. But look here. Look here. Everything from here down, gray.
How unusual is this, what we're seeing unfold right now?
Why?
It's pretty unusual. Now, we have seen many protests over the
years. I ain't cutting it. I don't know how long it's going to last, so I'm going to keep as much of it as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. Let's get back to that.
Covering this building, I really can only remember maybe once or twice being in lockdown in a situation like this, and I've been.
You can only remember a lockdown once or where'd the battle flags go?
It's very rare to be told you can't leave the building, so that's unusual.
They agreed. There's a statue with some bitch on a horse. They didn't tear that one down. I don't know who it is. They're just passing by.
The perimeter. We're not certain what else beyond that at the moment. But
the perimeter.
Not to leave is unusual. It just shows the precautions that everybody's taken, given that all 500
motherfuckers carrying American flags.
Vice President of the United States is inside, and other staff members.
If you're protesting, you shouldn't be carrying an American flag.
Joe Biden's victory will be official. All right, I want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta.
Oh, shut up, Wolf.
The president spoke just a little while ago.
I just realized I should have gone to the bathroom before I came out here.
Bring in our chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta.
Oh, shut up, Wolf.
The president spoke just a little while ago. He seemed to be encouraging these protesters to get out there on the streets and make their...
Douchebag spoke a little while ago, and he seemed to be okay with this.
And this is what the
Surprise!
a time ago during those remarks.
Surprise, surprise,
When
surprise.
he was talking about how he wanted to overturn the results of the election, he said, we're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We are going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's
Take back our country.
The president indicated a couple
That's
of
what we're
times
doing,
during the
motherfucking dumb cuff.
go down to the
Fucking
Capitol. We've been
get out the fucking way.
that by the White House. But at this point, we have not heard anything from President Trump telling these protesters to stand back and stand by.
President who?
To use a phrase
Who?
he used during
Who?
the presidential debates when talking
Who?
about the Proud Boys.
President who?
Wolf, this is a president who has been egging on his supporters
For 5
now.
fucking
We heard
years.
him earlier today down on the ellipse by the White House, by the National Mall, once again saying that these results
By the National Mall. Something he couldn't fill up during his inauguration neither.
A coup up on Capitol Hill. The Vice President has said he's not going to do that. Wolf, and it's worth reminding people.
Vice President said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I mean, I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
The Trump administration used tear gas and public protesters to bring calm to that situation. Jim, hold on for one moment.
We need Thor's hammer.
Not doing that kind of thing today.
Alexander Marquardt is there right in the middle of all of this. He's joining us on the phone right now. So, Alex, explain what you're seeing and what you're hearing.
Explain what you're seeing since we're seeing it for 20 minutes now.
In fact, Wolf, they're certainly energized. We're on the western side of the Capitol, right where the inauguration is going to take place in 2 weeks. And there's been a significant escalation.
Hear what he said? Where the inauguration is going to take place in 2 weeks, is going to take place in 2 weeks, is going to take place in 2 weeks.
Throngs of protesters climbing the
Throngs.
on the western side of the Capitol. They have reached up
Throngs of anti-socialists. Sorry. Throngs of anti-social protesters with no masks.
In response, the police have fired tear gas.
The police have fired tear gas. I was wondering how long it was going to take.
Choking and their eyes streaming.
They're choking and their eyes are streaming.
I cannot see
streaming
any sort of law enforcement right now. Everything
neon-colored confetti.
Is protesters.
Protesters! Aren't you tired of hearing me say protesters?
With very little pushback from law enforcement. Wolf?
Yeah, we anticipate.
You know why there's very little pushback from Washington police? If you need to know why,
you don't see Capitol Police, you don't see military,
change the channel.
Guard on the scene right now, but you see a lot of protesters going through, breaching Capitol.
A lot of protesters going through and breaching Capitol.
Clearly they're breaking the law. Do they understand?
Clearly they're breaking the law, much like their leader.
I assume they certainly do, but that they don't care.
Go inside again.
Law enforcement, including what I imagine.
No, everybody's flipping out. Everybody's getting up.
Movement, it seems, within this group of protesters. There have been
Ted Cruz is underneath his desk, embryonic, sucking on both thumbs, which just came out of Trump's ass moments ago.
There has been a lot of momentum within this protest.
There's a hearse in front of the fucking building.
For their fellow protesters.
Good job.
Activists, to essentially storm the Capitol, to get up those steps.
Storm the Capitol.
What I'm looking at.
I've been trying to think of a title for this because I wasn't going to do nothing, but now there's going to be a part 3.
Is going to take place holding all sorts of flags, Trump flags, American flags. Don't tread on these flags.
Trump flags, American flags, don't tread on me flags, which is a state. This has nothing to do with that. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Failing to mention the battle flags of South Carolina and all the others, Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, whatever it was, from before 1877. Battle flag, not state flag. Get it straight.
Away from the actual building itself. The general public is not allowed in there. You're not allowed through there unless you have a pass.
You're not allowed through unless you've got a pass. I'm sorry. You're not allowed through unless you've got a 2x4.
Where I am across
You're not allowed through unless you're tased first.
Basically backed off closer into the building to try and circle perimeter of the Capitol building itself. The bigger issue right now, it would appear, is
the bigger issue right now would be,
and they are clearly in the hundreds.
let's just hope things don't start blowing up left and right.
That the general public is never allowed on, even in normal days, certainly not a day like today. They've essentially overtaken the front of the Capitol, and
they've overtaken the front of the Capitol.
Onto the Capitol building and up the steps of the Capitol building itself, the center steps of the Capitol.
Up the steps, up the center steps of the Capitol. Hollywood cameras are allowed up there, but you and I.
The Capitol building itself is shut down.
The Capitol building is shut down. And being that it was left here by who knows who and who knows why, and we just found it and started to use it because no one normal who isn't drunk wouldn't put 38 fucking pillars in front of a fucking building for no fucking reason whatsoever. That's a lot of protesting cunt bags, I'm telling you.
Inside the building, but they're standing right at the doors from the center steps to get into the building right now.
They're right at the doors.
A lot of concern internally.
Oh, there's a don't tread on me. 2, 3 don't tread on me's, 2 Trump 2020s,
a lot of huge demonstrations.
another don't tread on me. There's an American flag. I just saw one peeking out from behind a don't tread on me flag.
You've covered a lot of these as well.
Don't tread on me, yellow.
When you see these protests,
It looks yellow, but I'm colorblind. If you ain't been able to know that or tell by not watching videos.
The leadership in the House and the Senate, they're debating.
U.S. Capitol on lockdown amid protests. I think I said that before, but whatever. Let's hear the words of George Carlin again.
That the president of the United States won the election.
The what?
But as Phil was
the who?
Was noting, the president of the United States encouraged these protesters.
5 more.
He might go with them. He has said that.
Don't tread on me's jumped out. There's a red Trump flag. They're usually blue with 2020. I don't know why they're blue. I see one Trump red without no year on it. No shit. They don't know what year it is.
But scaling the stairs, going past the barricades, you're right. They are now trespassing. And
they've been trespassing for fucking 45 minutes, moron.
Anticipate moments like this. They would have help from the Metropolitan Police, from federal authorities.
The protesters will have help from the Metropolitan Police, as well as anyone else standing around going, "Oh, I didn't realize what was going on in there."
And so what have they done? They have the Capitol Police have pulled back and essentially, battened the hatches there.
Tear gas deployed amid protests in Washington. What are we changing the name of Washington to? What are we changing that to? Since Washington owns slaves, grew weed, and sold weed. What are we gonna rename Washington State? What are you gonna rename Washington D.C.? You want to go after slave owners? What are you gonna rename it?
I just had to evacuate my office because of a pipe.
St. Petersburg, right?
The of the president trying to force their way into the Capitol, and I can hear what sounds like multiple.
St. Petersburg West.
When you have a chaotic situation like this, there's often conflicting information about what actually happened. We'll explore
conflicting information about what happened right in front of a camera.
Roger, right now he's getting more information. Mono, what are you learning?
Oh, shut up, Wolf!
We've been told, and they've been spotted. Protesters are inside the Capitol building.
Protesters are inside the Capitol building.
I'm not sure exactly how many, but there have been witnessed outside.
Handfuls of morons.
Second floor of the Capitol. Now, there's just an alert that just went out to all congressional staff.
Now, the cameraman has been told, do not shoot
people to move inside their office
with the camera. Do not shoot areas with Confederate battle flags, because that's just crazy, right?
Silence electronics. It said once you're in a safe location.
I see a red American flag, a red field, red stripes and white stripes with a hammer and sickle in the top left corner of the field. Did anyone see that? I saw that.
Remain clear of the police activity and await further direction. This is something that I've never seen
I'll tread on you. Come over here. I'll tread on you. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here we go. Oh, they're losing their feed. Oh, they're losing their video. It's come back. It's come back.
That there are actually protesters just off the Senate floor, on the second floor of the United States Capitol. So clearly the police
hold on a second, Bob, because I know Brian Todd is with
Shut up, Wolf.
area where we see police now showing up. What are you seeing, Brian?
What are you seeing, Brian?
Right, Wolf, you just saw...
I saw a 1976 flag.
Now taking the steps where some protesters are on these steps that you're seeing, and I'm going to have our photojournalist Christine Pan over there. All right, we just heard a...
Their video's all fucked up. It don't do no good if those to show you.
Every few minutes for the last hour, both on this side, this is the east side of the Capitol, and on the west side of the Capitol. On the west side, it's also very, very tense, because we saw people there...
Very, very tense.
...risers that were built for the inauguration and breaching police lines there. You can clearly see where they breached the police line here.
There is apparently a food truck parked next to the hearse that's in front of the building.
From the Independence Avenue side,
I see a flag that's red and white and blue, but I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. I can't recognize it. It's probably Alabama or Mississippi or Arkansas or some shit like this. I heard a gunshot!
We've never seen anything like this before.
I heard a gunshot!
Where protesters have gotten that close to the building.
Maybe it's tear
I can
gas.
tell you on the west side of the Capitol, Wolf, it was very, very tense as well.
Their video's fucking fluey again.
We're able to kind of receive people in that open space there from the ellipse. But there were a lot of concussive blasts, a lot of flashbangs, a lot of...
Oh, it was flashbangs. It wasn't gunshots. I don't want to misreport shit, right?
We see this kind of tension boiling here.
Mr. Nebraska.
Are there going to be massive police reinforcements coming? And how long they're going to let this go on? Well,
That's what it said on the news. And the news never lies.
This is not going to end well.
Okay.
Gamma ray bursts, nearby supernovae, a destabilizing stellar flyby, magnetic field shutoff, an extreme volcanic event, planetary instabilities, obliquity drift, nuclear war, climate disasters, global pandemics.
It's just what they'll be expecting.
Let us pray that there will be peace on earth and that it will begin with us. Let us pray that God will continue to bless America.